All right, so this is number 11 you were asking about. I know a couple of things before I even do this table. You said you did the table. Leading coefficient. I know the leading coefficient is the number all the way in front, which is 1. I don't actually care what the number is. All that I care about is the fact that it's positive. And I know it has a max number of turns of 2 because it's got a degree of 3. Whatever your degree is, you subtract 1, that's your max number of turns. So if I were to do a rough sketch of this, since the leading coefficient is positive, it's got an odd degree, I know my end behavior is going to go down to the left, up to the right, and then it's going to have a maximum number of 2 turns. So 1 turn, 2 turns. So it's going to roughly look something like this-ish. And we're just going for a rough sketch here. So now you said you did this table. My numbers, I came up with negative 22 when I plugged in negative 2. Not too helpful. I came up with negative 3, positive 2, negative 1, and negative 6. All right, so that gives me 5 points. Only 4 of them fit on the graph, so I'm going to graph those 4. First one that fits would be negative 1, negative 3. 0, 2. 1, negative 1, and then 2, negative 6. So I'm looking at these 4 points. Now, I'm supposed to make them look something like this. Well, I know there's actually another point, negative 2, negative 22, that's way down here. So I know my graph's going to point towards that point. And that makes sense with the end behavior on the left-hand side going down. Now, I have no idea if these are actually going to connect perfectly, but they're going to be somewhat close. Now I get here, and I just have to figure out what the crap happens on the right-hand side. Well, my rough sketch, I know end behavior, and I explained this in the email as well, because the degree is odd. You can even write that down. Degree is odd. It's actually 3. Maximum returns 2. But anyways, degree is odd. That means that my ends are pointing in different directions. Now, we already said the one on the left's pointing down, so the one on the right's pointing up. So that means that this here has to turn at some point and shoot up. I don't actually care when it turns, whatever. We're going for a rough sketch. So that's it. And that's going to look something like what's in the answer key. I'm going to pick one more and just kind of go through it briefly. I'm going to look at number 14. So leading coefficient here is negative. The degree is even. Those two things tell you your end behavior. Since the degree is even, my ends are going to point in the same direction. Since the leading coefficient is negative, both of my ends are going to be pointing down. Now, I have no idea what's happening in the middle yet, but that's just my end behavior. Now, because it's a degree of 4, I know I'm going to have a max of 3 turns. So if I were to draw a rough sketch of this, 3 turns, 1, 2, 3, ends pointing down, it's going to look something like that. Now, all this middle junk, you can get more specific by drawing your table, plotting points, and then doing a rough sketch. Okay, I hope that helps.